Serious as the zombie virus outbreak spread, Emily and her roommate found themselves trapped in their dormitory. After much struggle, they escaped and reached Emily's boyfriend Charles's rented apartment. Relieved, finally, we're safe here.
But as soon as Emily opened the door, she was stunned by the scene before her.
Furious Charles. What is this?
Charles and a woman were disheveled, rolling on the sofa. Emily, blinded by rage, rushed in and slapped him.
Shouting. How could you? In the face of the apocalypse, you're still thinking about such things.
Charles, unbothered, eyed her like a predator. Together with the woman, they tied Emily up and threw her into a room.
Serious? You think you can just walk in here and judge me? Let's see how you feel after this.
He picked up Emily's phone and called her father.
Serious? Listen, if you don't bring food and anti-zombie medicine within 2 days, your precious daughter is zombie food.
Emily tried to make sounds to beg her dad not to come, but Charles stuffed a rag in her mouth.
Sad by the time her dad arrived, Emily was weak from hunger. In her dazed state, she heard a man's anxious voice and constant knocking on the door. Anxious, Charles, I brought what you wanted. Let Emily out now.
The sound of hurried footsteps and beastly growls of zombies approached, but Charles wouldn't open the door.
Desperate, Dad, no.
With her last bit of strength, she crawled to the door, only to be kicked away by Charles.
Desperate, please, let her go.
Her dad's voice grew weaker, and outside, only the sound of zombies feasting remained. Emily cried until she passed out, overwhelmed by grief and anger.
Sad when she woke up, it was daylight, and her restraints were gone. She lay on the sofa, with Charles and the woman looking at her with malicious intent. Serious, what do you want now? You've got the medicine and food. I'm useless to you.
But the zombies at the door hadn't dispersed and were still wandering in the corridor. Neither of them wanted to retrieve the suitcase at the door, so they decided to push Emily out to face the danger.
Unfriendly, just go get it, Emily. It's your responsibility.
Taking advantage of their distraction, Emily quickly ran to the door and opened it.
Determined, if I have to go, I'm taking you both with me.
In her last memories, she only recalled countless zombies tearing at her body. But she Emily, Emily, wake up.
Relieved, Alice, is that you? What's going on?
Emily woke up to the concerned calls of her roommate, Alice. Her whole body felt as if it had been run over by a car, aching all over. She sat up abruptly from the bed, wiping the sweat that was continuously dripping from her forehead. Instinctively, she glanced at the phone beside her, October 21st, 8 a.m.
Shouting, what? I've actually returned to the day before the outbreak.
The situation was extremely urgent, and there was no time to waste.
Serious, Alice, the zombies will break out tomorrow.
Alice looked a bit stunned. Perhaps because Emily's dad is the director of a biological research institute, she believed Emily had some channel to get the news, and eventually nodded.
Hopeful, Emily, you've never lied to me, so I believe you. Besides, I've been feeling inexplicably uneasy recently, and except for classes, I haven't dared to go out much.
Serious, Emily, since the zombie virus will break out in our city, why don't we leave here?
To be honest, Emily had considered this possibility, but she could only be sure that the zombie virus would start to break out at their school at 8 p.m. on October 22nd. As for other parts of the city, who knows when it would start. If they took the high-speed train to another city, and there happened to be an infected person on the train, the result would be unimaginable, a total disaster.
Serious, so after much thought, it's better not to relocate. Since we've decided to stay at the school, we need to prepare enough supplies.
Just as Emily was about to call their other roommate, Jessica, back, a text message suddenly came to her phone.
angry, Alice, it's my boyfriend. He wants to go to the movies tonight.
Seeing that familiar avatar, it was Emily's boyfriend. In her previous life, she felt nothing but joy when she saw this message. Now, thinking back, it just seemed ridiculous. After all, the money for the meals and the movie tickets during their dates was all paid by her. They had been dating for nearly a year, and she had actually spent quite a bit on him. She felt utterly foolish.
Serious, since he owes me a life, he will eventually have to repay it.
Emily edited another message and sent it.
Coldly, come to the school tomorrow night.
Emily coldly watched the word "okay" appear on her phone.
Determined, Charles, you're done for.
Emily knew what kind of hell the densely populated campus would become tomorrow. On the way to the wholesale market, Emily's phone suddenly rang.
Hello, who is this?
Emily, it's Dad. Listen, stay at school and take all necessary precautions. Don't wander around.
Dad, what's going on?
Desperately, Emily wanted to uncover the truth that eluded her in the past. Ding dong, 800,000 yuan has been deposited into your Alipay account.
What in the world?
Emily, I don't have all the details yet. The authorities are investigating, and there might be many asymptomatic cases. Keep this money safe, stock up on supplies and medicine, and remember to keep this confidential.
The call was then abruptly cut off. Emily tried calling back, but all she got was a busy tone. Upon arriving at the market, while Alice was selecting goods, Emily placed an order on JD.com for 5 high-power solar panels for outdoor use, costing 4,000 yuan each, spending a total of 20,000 yuan.
Money sure goes fast. Luckily, the logistics in H City are efficient. The items should arrive by 3 p.m.
Next, Emily ordered a crowbar, climbing rope, a set of hardware tools, an electric drill, a multifunctional shovel, large batteries, flashlights, an outdoor windproof tent, 20 power banks, 5 drones, and 10 large-capacity backpacks. She also bought a box of disposable underwear and socks, 5 down jackets, 5 waterproof jackets and pants, 10 sets of thermal underwear, and 10 umbrellas.
Next, I need to buy food at the market.
Alice came over and pointed to the piles of items on the ground, asking Emily to check them.
Are these enough?
Yes, this should be plenty for now.
20 boxes of 500 milliliters bottled water, 20 barrels of water, all with the latest production dates, good for 24 months. 5 boxes of compressed biscuits, 4 boxes of canned luncheon meat, 100 large packs of spicy Sichuan yak jerky, and a box of assorted fruit cans. 5 bags of rice, 3 bags of flour, 100 small packs of yeast, 2 large barrels of oil, and a box of small bottled oil.
Next, I have to consider food for outdoor situations.
A box of braised beef-flavored instant noodles, a box of pickled mustard-flavored instant noodles, and 2 boxes of assorted self-heating rice meals.
Looks like we have enough daily supplies. Let's arrange for delivery.
Emily noticed a shop across the street selling solid alcohol and asked the owner for a box. Seeing her large purchase, he threw in 2 stoves for free.
Thank you.
After all this, Emily asked Alice to stay and follow the pickup truck to transport the goods to the dormitory, specifically instructing her to be as quick as possible.
Alice, be quick and discreet. We don't want to attract attention.
Got it.
Since it was class time, there were very few people on campus. The sooner they finished, the less attention they would attract. Emily then headed to a nearby pharmacy to buy medicine.
Antibiotics are a must.
She got 50 boxes each of aspirin, roxithromycin, amoxicillin, and cephalosporin. She also picked up various gastrointestinal and limb medications from the shelves.
That will be 64,800 yuan.
Emily used the points to get 30 bottles of alcohol, 30 bottles of iodine, a box of cotton swabs, and some herbal tea.
Perhaps I was too focused, not noticing a man watching me from outside.
Emily packed up and left the pharmacy, intending. Emily looked at the strange man with a face full of terror, clutching the items in her hand tightly behind her back.
Who are you, and how do you know my name?
You received it too, didn't you? The doomsday warning?
What doomsday warning? I don't know anything about that.
It doesn't matter if you don't admit it. Just know that you should stand with me. By the way, my name is Michael.
Emily wanted nothing more than to get as far away from him as possible.
Well, it doesn't matter if you don't want to. But think about it, a woman alone with a large amount of survival supplies during the end times, what could happen?
Emily glared at him fiercely but reluctantly decided to keep him by her side. Michael's eyes immediately lit up with excitement. Just as Emily was about to leave, Michael pulled out several books from the bookstore. She glanced at the titles: Administrative Map of Country C, Transportation Network Map of H City, The Barefoot Doctor's Manual, The Friend of Military and Civilian Talents, and the Militia Training Manual.
I hadn't thought of all these.
Emily realized he might be somewhat useful.
All right, let's call a ride to send the medicines back home.
Wait, we should first go to the hardware store to find a locksmith to reinforce the dormitory door.
Right. I had completely forgotten about that.
She looked at him with a bit less hostility. Soon, they brought the locksmith to the dormitory door.
The dorm had been broken into before, and I want to reinforce it.
Due to limited time, the locksmith could only install a piece of iron plate on both the outside and inside of the door. Though simple, it was the best they could do.
Can you also secure the left side balcony with some wire mesh?
Sure, that will be done quickly.
This way, people from the neighboring dorm couldn't climb over to theirs. The dorm to their right, 507, was unoccupied, and they had a spare key. Emily planned to let Michael stay there.
Let's open the door to 507 and have the locksmith install wire mesh there as well.
After all the work, the dormitory's defenses were finally in place. Fortunately, the dorm supervisor was on leave for a few days, and it was class time, so moving the supplies didn't attract any attention. By the time they finished the preparations, they were drenched in sweat. Looking at the water stacked up to the ceiling, Emily finally felt at ease. Her two roommates, however, were looking at her with puzzled expressions.
Emily, did you get 2 boyfriends?
Well, it's for the best. Charles isn't a good person anyway.
Feeling embarrassed, Emily quickly explained.
Michael is also part of my team and will be staying in the neighboring dorm.
Seeing their, "Oh, I get it," expressions, It was exactly 3 p.m. when the package from JD.com arrived. I called my roommates, Sarah and Mike, to help me pick it up.
Hey, what did you order this time?
Yeah, it was pretty big.
We returned to the dorm and decided to stay in for the rest of the day, wary of the potential dangers outside.
Do you think it's safe to eat this packaged food?
Well, it's better than risking it outside.
I shrugged, still unsure about the exact transmission route of the mysterious illness. The next day, I woke up to find it was already 6:30 p.m. My phone buzzed with a message from Charles.
Honey, I'm off work now. I'll tidy up at home and come pick you up.
I replied with a simple, "Okay," and smirked coldly at the screen. As the minutes ticked by, it reached 7:30 p.m. Suddenly, a scream pierced the night.
Did you hear that?
What was that?
Meanwhile, on a bus heading to H University campus, chaos was unfolding. A middle-aged man began convulsing in his seat, foam spilling from his mouth. His limbs twisted grotesquely as he scratched at the bus seat in front of him.
Driver, stop the bus.
Somebody help him.
Charles, sitting in the last row, trembled as he watched the horrifying scene unfold.
It might be an epileptic seizure. Check his bag for medicine.
As she reached into his bag, the man suddenly opened his eyes, revealing a pair of grayish-blue irises.
Oh my God.
The man, no, the creature, lunged at her, biting into her neck.
Do something! Help her!
The bus filled with screams and the sounds of the creature feasting. The driver, shocked by the scene, lost control of the steering wheel. A sharp turn threw everyone from their seats, adding to the chaos. The bitten woman slowly stood up, her lifeless gray eyes scanning the bus. She grabbed a young man's collar and began to bite him.
No! Help me!
Seeing the horror unfold, Charles made a desperate move.
Out of my way.
He climbed over the seats to the driver's position, pushing a nearby woman towards the creature.
No, please.
Charles yanked the driver out of his seat and slammed the door open button, scrambling out of the bus. Across the road was the university town, a place that now seemed more dangerous than ever. I was observing the campus from the balcony when my phone suddenly rang. It was a call from Charles.
Hello, what's up?
Emily, help! It's terrifying! I encountered some crazed people on the bus. Luckily, I managed to escape.
You really have a knack for surviving, don't you, Charles?
Emily, I'm really scared. Please come and get me.
All right, I'm coming. Head towards the library.
I hung up the phone and coldly looked in the direction of the library. Fortunately, my high vantage point offered an excellent view.
Charles, I can take my time enjoying your predicament.
I turned back to look inside. My two roommates were trembling with fear, so I softly reassured them.
It's going to be okay. Just stay calm.
Suddenly, my phone was flooded with messages from a local group chat. The video showed our school's library. At the entrance, a girl was convulsing on the ground as if having a seizure, then suddenly started attacking others.
This is strange. In my previous life, the crazed individuals didn't foam at the mouth, they just started attacking people.
I heard a male voice from the balcony opposite, feeling a bit surprised that he had also seen the video.
Could they be the initial carriers?
I ignored him and continued to follow the messages in the group. Seeing someone mention, "This looks just like the crazed people in movies," I chimed in.
Oh my, we should stock up on supplies.
Suddenly, many people rushed out of their dorms, swarming towards the campus store. Initially, they were orderly at the checkout, but soon it turned into a free-for-all. Scenes from my past life and the present overlapped once again.
Here we go again.
Suddenly, I saw a familiar figure in bright yellow running towards me. It was Charles. I looked back towards the library, which was in complete chaos, filled with screams and sounds of struggle. A group of inhuman creatures roamed the hall outside the library, looking especially eerie at night.
How did he manage to escape?
Although I didn't know how he escaped from the library, apart from looking a bit disheveled, he seemed unharmed. Truly, troublemakers live long. Fortunately, he didn't know which building I lived in. I saw Charles pick up his phone, and soon mine rang again.
Emily, I'm right outside the girls' dorm. Please come down and get me.
I can't, Charles. People here have barricaded the doors. They won't let us out.
Seeing no hope of refuge, Charles became furious.
Sophia, you wretched girl. I wouldn't be here if it weren't for you. Now you're leaving me to fend for myself.
When I didn't respond, he tried to continue cursing. Suddenly, it seemed like something was approaching the girls' dorm. Charles noticed it too and screamed before running away in a panic.
Serves you right, Charles.
I laughed so hard at his ridiculous appearance that my stomach hurt. Following my instincts, I noticed a gaze from the side, feeling quite accomplished.
Don't mess with me, or this will be your fate.
To my surprise, the person opposite smiled back.
Well done.
Seeing his excitement, I lost interest and closed the door, returning inside. The group chat was in an uproar. The counselor said they had contacted the police and urged us to trust the school, not to spread rumors, and to stay safe in our dorms. The girls in dorm spontaneously organized a door-blocking effort, with many first-floor residents bringing out tables to barricade the main entrance. Watching their actions, I had already anticipated this, just like in my previous life.
Time to prepare.
Taking advantage of the still-functioning internet, I downloaded hundreds of movies, TV shows, and novels onto my tablet. Then I secured the doors and windows and put on earplugs. Ignoring the screams and roars outside, today marks the second day since the outbreak of the undead. I went to bed early last night, so I woke up at 6:30 this morning. The sky was still a dull gray. Looking down from the balcony, the scene was chaotic. Broken tree branches lay scattered on the ground, and overturned trash bins had spilled their contents everywhere. The store next to the dormitory bore several bloody handprints on its door, and a few disoriented undead wandered aimlessly in the street.
You noticed it too, huh? A lot of people got bitten last night, but there are only 7 or 8 of them wandering around this morning.
Hearing that familiar male voice, I turned to look across the way.
Exactly. I'm curious where the rest of them have gone.
In my previous life, survival pressures left me no time to ponder these questions. Now, however, I find myself intrigued.
Based on their mutation process and behavior, could it be that there are 2 different types of undead? And what about the asymptomatic carriers Dad mentioned?
Suddenly, I remembered Michael saying he had received a warning about the apocalypse. Could this be a premeditated event?
Michael, where did you get that information?
I got it from a science blogger. Here, I'll send you the URL and a screenshot.
When I clicked the link, it led to a science blogger who had already cleared his homepage. The screenshot predicted a massive outbreak of the undead on October 22nd, urging people to stock up on supplies.
So, he must be in the know. If I could contact him, I might uncover more details.
I turned back inside and began planning for the future, staring at the wall full of supplies.
Although our dormitory's defenses are solid, the human mind remains the most unpredictable element, especially in a densely populated campus. If I get the chance, I must secure a vehicle and escape, then find a building to settle in. I wonder how Dad is doing. I tried calling him twice, but no one answered.
Meanwhile, my phone screen lit up with numerous group messages. Many people hadn't managed to grab any food last night and were now complaining. The school authorities had yet to issue any announcements. Some had called the local emergency number, but no one answered. Checking the trending topics on social media, I found that updates had stalled since the previous day, causing widespread panic. A few fearless streamers had posted videos of themselves fighting the undead on platforms like TikTok, but these were quickly taken down due to policy reasons. Fortunately, the internet was still up, providing an outlet for people's anxiety. Soon, someone in the group chat suggested trading resources: a bottle of water for 5 sanitary pads, 2 packs of bread for a bottle of water, and so on.
Many joined in to exchange items they needed. I traded some bottled water for small items, helping others as much as I could.
As the sun climbed higher, reaching 11 a.m., someone noticed that only a few undead were blocking the path to the campus store. A brave soul suggested raiding the store for food.
Getting bitten by the undead or starving to death. Either way, it's death. I'd rather die with a full stomach. Why are you all so scared? We can't take down just a few of them.
Her words, though harsh, made sense. I could almost imagine many people standing on their balconies, watching the undead's movements. Perhaps the pressure of survival was too overwhelming, and people began. I hurried to the balcony to observe their movements. Sure enough, within moments, 5 or 6 girls rushed out of the dormitory building, armed with mops and brooms. Although they tried to keep their footsteps light, a few nearby creatures with keen hearing and smell were still attracted, twisting their limbs as they approached the girls. I was silently anxious for them and was about to activate my drone to divert some of the creatures' attention when I saw a figure flash by.
Fortunately, the girl leading the group was quick-witted. She dashed towards the store with lightning speed, so fast that the creatures didn't even have time to react.
Before the creatures could reach them, they had already escaped into the store.
I breathed a sigh of relief for them and picked up my binoculars to observe their actions inside the store.
As expected, the store was already half empty, with many shelves ransacked by people the previous night. The girls hastened their movements. To make things easier, each of them carried 3 or 4 bags. One particularly clever girl even brought a suitcase, stuffing it with supplies. However, the creatures wandering the street had already gathered at the store entrance.
I told you not to let them go out, but they insisted. Now look what happened.
I couldn't stand it any longer. I controlled my drone to fly to the store entrance, using the small noise it made to lure the creatures to the other side.
They understood my intention and took the opportunity to escape, returning to Building A and barricading the door again.
Feeling relieved, I went back inside and lay on my bed to relax.
In my moment of leisure, I thought of Charles. It's been a whole night, and that jerk still hasn't messaged me. Could he be gone?
The thought made me laugh out loud.
But my laughter soon faded because my phone suddenly rang, and the caller ID was Dear Husband.
Damn, I forgot to change the name.
I didn't answer his call and instead changed the contact name to Jerk. But then he sent me a few messages and photos. It turned out he had escaped to a nearby boys' dormitory and was now short on water and food, asking me what to do.
What to do? Just wait it out.
As soon as I sent that message, he started cursing at me again.
Sophia, you don't deserve to be human. Who else would want you besides me? You got me into this mess, and you think you'll have a good end?
I found his insults unbearable and blocked him, then happily started making my lunch.
I cooked a small pot of fragrant Northeast Wuchang rice, fried a whole piece of luncheon meat, heated a curry chicken meal pack, and made an egg drop soup. Only then did I happily start eating with my roommate. But that guy had a keen nose and even asked me to send him some food.
Well, that's the magnanimity a leader should have.
After a satisfying meal, I opened my phone and started scrolling through TikTok. Strangely, various zombie videos began to appear. It was clear that the situation had further deteriorated, and it seemed that social order across the country had been disrupted.
Hey guys! Today, I'm going to show you how to fight zombies and even make a special zombie burger.
I was taken aback. I had thought humanity was doomed, but it seemed I had underestimated our resilience. I decided to close TikTok and watch a pre-saved TV series instead. I also sent a WeChat message to Michael, asking if he had managed to contact that science blogger.
No luck yet. Haven't been able to reach him.
I felt a bit disappointed but wasn't too surprised, as this method was unreliable from the start. As the sky gradually darkened, a cold wind swept down, making me shiver. In a moment of distraction, the group chat exploded again.
Guys, some of us are planning to raid Walmart.
We need supplies. It's risky, but we have to try.
Unfortunately, things didn't go as planned. As the last red cloud disappeared from the horizon, the twilight faded away. The zombies, which had been dormant all day, began to stir and crawl out from the dark, cold places. Watching a zombie emerge from a sewer pipe confirmed my suspicion. There were currently two types of zombies, Type A, which was not afraid of sunlight, and Type B, which feared sunlight and only appeared at night. They seemed to have been starving all day and were now extremely agitated, with gaping mouths, searching for the scent of living humans. At that moment, some fool dropped an empty water bottle. The air-filled plastic bottle hit the concrete ground with a thud and rolled a few times before coming to a stop. In the otherwise silent campus, where even a pin drop could be heard, the sound of the plastic bottle was particularly noticeable.
Arg.
Sure enough, in an instant, a group of zombies, with their gaping mouths, rushed towards the source of the sound like ravenous wolves. And that place was right outside the first-floor girls' dormitory, where the balcony was. I desperately looked down. Despite the burglar-proof window blocking my view, I could still see the zombies stretching their foul-smelling hands inside, forcefully pulling at the stainless steel bars. This dormitory building has been around for nearly 20 years, and the quality of the burglar-proof windows can't be guaranteed. Hearing the notification sound from my phone, I quickly checked the group messages. As expected, it was the girls living on the first floor asking for help, and they had sent several videos. In the videos, zombies outside the balcony were clawing and crashing against the burglar-proof window. The already old and rusty steel bars seemed to be on the verge of collapse, as if a few more hits would bring the window down, allowing the zombies to flood in.
They're going to break in. We need help now.
We've blocked the balcony door with desks, but I don't know how long it will hold.
If the first floor was breached by zombies, the upper floors would have to rely on the fire doors on each floor to fend them off, which was extremely dangerous. I immediately took out an MP3 player, tied it to a drone, and turned the volume to the maximum. First, I maneuvered the drone towards the zombie horde on the first floor. This trick worked. The zombies, hearing the music, immediately dispersed and followed my drone. Finally, I led the zombies to the playground. Night fell quickly, and the zombies' howls were incredibly piercing. Their angry roars could be heard from afar. After being scared half to death by zombies last time, no one in the school dared to make any moves. On the 7th day of the zombie outbreak, the internet was cut off, stores had been looted, and food was extremely scarce, leading some to consider plundering other supplies. The male dormitory was the first to take action.
We need those supplies. Gather everyone. Bring whatever weapons you can find.
Iron rods, wooden sticks, anything that can defend us.
A group of people banded together, armed with iron rods and wooden sticks, kicking down doors and robbing each dormitory.
This door's blocked. Let's try the next one.
We need to find a way in. There must be food inside.
Later, some dorms got smart and blocked their doors with iron bed frames. When that group couldn't get in, they thought of other ways. In just a few days, many such groups plundering other supplies had formed on campus.
Look, we can use these ropes to swing to the balconies.
Like Spider-Man? Brilliant.
They used their body momentum to swing onto balconies, smashed the glass windows with iron rods, and looted food like bandits. Through binoculars, I saw everything happening. Even though I was mentally prepared, I was still terrified. It's been 15 days now. When will the National Rescue Team arrive? Early in the morning, I was awakened by the sound of my pager. Michael, who lived next door, was urging me to leave quickly.
The internet briefly came back on for 10 minutes last night. That science blogger replied to our private message, "Be cautious of others, shelter in City A."
The people on campus had already gone mad, starting to burn, loot, and plunder.
If we don't escape, we'll be waiting for the inevitable. It's better to run now, maybe there's still a glimmer of hope.
The four of us gathered and decided to seize a car. The sun was shining brightly, but more than the zombies, we had to worry about people. Armed with electric batons, the three of us headed to the parking lot, one in front and one behind. Luckily, there was a black sedan with its windows wide open right in front of us. Judging by the bloodstains on the ground, the owner must have been attacked before they could even turn off the engine. Without wasting any time, I got into the driver's seat, restarted the car, and sped out of the underground garage. Fortunately, Alice stayed in the dormitory, throwing down the supplies we had prepared, box by box. The people upstairs watched us like wolves guarding their prey.
Alice, tie a safety rope and jump down to avoid any accidents.
Then, we drove away. City A is the provincial capital, and we could get there via the highway. But what did he mean by a shelter? Dad had worked at the Biological Research Center for so many years, but he never mentioned anything about a shelter. Usually, large research institutes have isolation rooms to prevent virus leaks.
Never mind, we'll figure it out when we get there.
As we drove, the road was littered with bodies. The once glamorous city had turned into a wasteland. The high-rise buildings had their windows wide open, with bloody handprints on them. The eerie wind sent chills down our spines. We chose a path with fewer corpses, but the mountains of bodies and abandoned vehicles still slowed us down. It wasn't until nightfall that we managed to reach a small section of the highway entrance. Hearing the distant howls of wild animals, I pulled my clothes tighter around me. The car's headlights were too conspicuous, it was time to stop. We rolled up the windows tightly and started eating inside the car.
I noticed tracks of other vehicles when we arrived. There might be other people around here besides us.
To be honest, surviving this long in the apocalypse, apart from those of us who had prepared early, most others were likely not kind-hearted. As I was thinking this, I glanced outside and saw a group of tall figures getting out of a black van in the nearby bushes. I was hesitating whether to talk to them when a small man came to our car, knocking on the window with a pleading look.
Who are you, and what do you want?
Kind people, please help me. I haven't eaten for 2 days.
He pleaded with us while glancing nervously at the bushes. Seeing no response from us, the group sent another young man over.
Well, Charles, that scoundrel, is still alive and has managed to survive until now. Trouble really does last 1,000 years.
Sophia, you wretch! I finally caught you! Big brother, come here! These people must have food!
Damn it, we can't just sit and wait. Buckle up.
I floored the gas pedal, driving the car straight towards Charles, hearing his scream.
This time, even if he didn't get hurt, his leg is definitely crippled. Let's see how he causes trouble now.
The car sped away. Through the rearview mirror, I could see the other party quickly running back to their own vehicle. The chase was on.
Keep going! Don't let them catch up!
We weaved through traffic, hearts pounding, until we finally managed to shake them off. We took turns driving through the night and finally reached the highway exit by dawn.
We made it. It's almost dawn.
As the car entered the outskirts of City A, we all breathed a sigh of relief. A glance at my phone showed it was 5:30 a.m., and the moon was still shining brightly in the sky.
I just want to lie down anywhere.
I had just driven a short distance off the highway when I realized we were almost out of gas.
Look, there's a small house nearby. Let's rest there for a while.
We circled the house to check the surroundings and unexpectedly found two sluggish zombies in the grass.
They look weak. Let's deal with them quickly.
Michael and I each took a shovel and swiftly dealt with them. Feeling more at ease, we gathered some supplies and went inside the house to rest. We hid the car, drew the curtains, and securely blocked the door. A ray of morning sunlight seeped through a crack, shining on my face, waking me from my sleep. Finally, I could take a good look at the streets of City A. But as soon as I pulled back the curtain, I was startled by a voice.
Attention all surviving residents. We have established a safe base. Please follow us.
Emily! The government has sent people to rescue us.
Shoo. Be quiet. Let's see what they do first.
I gestured for them to be quiet and exchanged a glance with Michael.
Better to be cautious.
I silently observed their every move from the window. They were armed to the teeth, clearly prepared for anything. However, they weren't wearing official military uniforms, and their demeanor didn't seem trustworthy.
Those people who got in the car could be in real danger.
The four of us exchanged glances, understanding what might happen next.
We can't intervene directly, but the zombies could.
I activated my drone, sending it to follow the vehicle. The video feed showed them in a small villa area.
Look, those people are being forced to work, and there are piles of bones nearby. They are not rescuers, but ruthless killers.
At that moment, my drone started playing music, attracting zombies from afar. A loud crash echoed, and the screen went black.
Damn, they discovered it.
I quickly grabbed the map from Michael's hands. The City Biological Research Center was 45 kilometers away.
Dad should still be there. It's our only hope.
We searched the house thoroughly and finally found some gasoline. After filling the tank, we drove off immediately. Along the way, we encountered a few fleeing refugees and ran over a few zombies.
It seems our previous bad luck has finally lifted.
But when we arrived at the entrance, I was stunned. The gates were tightly shut, reinforced with barbed wire.
Could Dad be here?
I approached, trying to find an entrance. Before I could pry open a hole in the wire, a laser beam shone on my face.
I quickly waved my hand, indicating my identity. Upon hearing that my dad was the director, they let us in and settled us in a well-protected laboratory.
After a while, a familiar face walked into the lab.
David, where's my dad?
Oh, your dad is busy. You'll see him in a couple of days.
He turned and left.
Something's not right, really not right.
If my dad knew I was here, he would have come to see me unless he's being held captive.
I unconsciously voiced my thoughts.
Then, what did that science blogger mean by telling us to come to the City A shelter? Were we tricked?
At this moment, we felt like we were in a pitch-black room, trying to feel our way around. Until evening, when someone came to deliver food, I saw another familiar face.
Linda. Where's my dad?
But she ignored me, quickly dropping off the food and leaving. After a long day, my stomach was growling with hunger. I picked up the chopsticks and started eating ravenously. Suddenly, I bit into something hard. Spitting it out, I found a piece of paper.
It reads, Director imprisoned. Gate. Prepare for counterattack tonight.
As I suspected, there are traitors in the Research Institute. How infuriating, especially after all Dad had done for them.
Late at night, I quietly pulled Michael out of the lab. Sure enough, Linda was anxiously waiting outside.
Serious David was holding a knife to Dad's throat, forcing him towards the edge of the rooftop. Terrified David, please, let him go. Pleading Robert, it's not too late to turn back. You've already hurt so many people. Think about your daughter. Unfriendly humph, I don't care about any of that. I've already harmed so many. One more won't make a difference.
David pressed the blade deeper into Dad's neck, causing a trickle of blood to flow.
Shouting, listen up, everyone down there, get me a car and $50,000, or I'll end him.
The people below exchanged worried glances but didn't comply with his demands. Instead, they started making their way upstairs.
Angry, fine, fine. If I can't leave, none of you will either.
He then pressed a button on a remote control in his hand. Bang! A loud explosion echoed, sounding like shattering glass. Claws emerged. It was only then that we noticed there were zombies on the rooftop.
Excited, come on, come on. Aren't you all so capable? Show me how you fight zombies.
The zombies lunged at me. I grabbed a brick from the ground and smashed it against one of their heads. It only knocked off a piece of flesh, and the zombie, with its gaping mouth, was about to bite me.
Desperate no.
In desperation, I thrust my fingers into its eyes, stopping its advance. The slimy feel of its eyeballs made me nauseous.
Serious, hold on, Emily.
Michael quickly struck its head with an iron rod. The splattered brain matter landed on my face, utterly disgusting.
Relieved, thankfully, the people below acted swiftly, coming up to deal with the remaining zombies.
Seeing no way to escape, David was in despair. I feared he might take Dad down with him. To divert his attention, I pulled up a photo on my phone.
Hopeful David, look at this.
Taking advantage of his momentary distraction, the arriving special forces tackled him, and Michael snatched the knife from his hand, helping Dad up from the ground.
Sobbing Dad. What on earth is going on? Serious Emily, don't worry.
Dad's fine.
Soon, the government forces took David away and escorted us and the research staff to the national base. It was during this journey that I learned the full story behind the zombie outbreak. It turned out that Robert had lost everything in a casino in Macau a few years ago, borrowing millions more in a futile attempt to win back his losses. When he was detained and forced to work off his debt, those people somehow found out he worked at the A City Biological Research Institute. Over the years, he had been secretly leaking confidential information. Recently, they offered him $1 million and a chance to take his family abroad, as long as he added the contents of a test tube to the Institute's latest anti-aging cell research. In hindsight, the test tube likely contained the zombie virus. Due to Robert's betrayal, some lab staff became the first infected. As they were sent out for medical treatment, the virus mutated again, turning some into asymptomatic carriers. So now, there were two types of zombie viruses to overcome. Robert had planned to flee with his family, but after the deed was done, those people betrayed and abandoned him. When his actions were exposed and superiors came to investigate, he decided to imprison Dad. That's why Dad had been out of contact for so long. Finally, the vehicle arrived at the national base, where many scientists were working to combat the zombie virus, and many survivors like us had gathered.
Serious with my limited knowledge, I couldn't join the research efforts, so I followed the troops to capture zombies and rescue civilians.
That science blogger had gone missing since that incident. Perhaps he was one of the researchers, maybe even among us, which is why he knew so much. But seeing the once devastated city being gradually restored brought immense satisfaction to my heart.
Relieved that annoying guy, who was once obsessed with scientific reasoning, stayed by my side throughout. Whenever there was danger during zombie captures, he was the first to charge in.
Finally, after narrowly escaping death once more, I gently took his hand.